All right, what up, y'all? Welcome back to Father's Plight. Today we're going to be talking about parental alienation again, and I'm going to be having a lot of material about this because I really believe this is a problem that affects a lot of fathers today, because a lot of fathers want to see their kids, and I mean, my father went through it, my brother went through it, dang, all my friends went through it, where they have one of their children or multiple children that they just don't have proper access to. So the only way to fix it is to study it, educate ourselves about it, so we can get better solutions and results. So today I have another video from David K's channel. He has a lot of good information over there about fathers, custody, the battles they go through, and what you can do to combat it. So without further ado, let me get started and let's see what we can learn.
What you need is a subspecialist in alienation and estrangement who sees it all the time, not the best psychologist in the world who rarely sees it. And so very briefly, the short answer to this question, how does this happen, is this field is highly counterintuitive to anyone who doesn't have extensive training and experience dealing with it. Most people will usually get it wrong. And when I say people, I mean attorneys, psychologists, other mental health experts. The majority of the time, they will not only get the case and the evaluation and the recommendations wrong, they will get it exactly backwards. First of all, and think how counterintuitive this is, in an alienation setting, most children will align with the abusive parent. It's like these kids that you find that have been living with their abductors for years and then they resist capture, or Stockholm Syndrome. Very counterintuitive. Number two, what we would call pathological enmeshment, and I'll define that briefly. It means that the alienating parent has an unhealthy enmeshment with the child to the point where the child has lost his or her individuality. A severe erosion of critical reasoning skills, boundary violations, sleeping with the other parent, or at least doing the bidding of the other parent, inappropriate sharing of information, which all the lawyers have heard of. Pathological enmeshment is a very serious psychiatric problem. And to a non-expert, it looks exactly like a warm, close, loving, healthy relationship. The non-expert comes in with perhaps...
Yeah, he's using some big words there. I don't know about you all. I've never heard of enmeshment, psychiatric enmeshment, any of that. But what he's saying does make sense. It does speak of the trauma, it does speak of the abuser. And a lot of this abuse is just verbal, mental abuse. It's not always physical. Because just like anybody know, you tell somebody something long enough, they believe it. And kids are especially susceptible to that. So just imagine if the child is just being told simply, no, your father doesn't want to see you. No, your mother doesn't want to see you. And they just tell them that over and over again. That one simple lie can literally alienate you from your child for who knows how long.
Perhaps a PhD or an MD in psychiatry or psychology. And what they see is let's just say mother and father for simplicity, but it's about a 50-50 spread of who does what these days. The two little girls are tightly bound to the mother. Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. They look at dad and say, I don't want to see him, he's a bad man. She's perfect, he's rotten. The non-expert says, wow, look at that great relationship. They really don't know how to probe to see if there are three types of pathological enmeshment: infantilization, adultification.
And see, what he just describes there, I know affects little boys too, because when women are, feeling pain, us boys, we feel the pain of our mother. We're very close to our mothers, especially when we're young. I'm always told, both mothers of my children, they're going to cling to you, when they're little. It's going to seem, hard, but I'm like, believe me, when they get around 8, 10, they're going to start pulling away. And then That's when the role of the father comes in, when they start being a man and starting to want to understand man things. So, and that's where the balance comes in. It's literally down the middle. The mother nurtures them, raises them up to the strong and able to somewhat look after themselves. The father brings them home. It's a team effort.
Making them little adults. Why don't you decide if you want to see Dad? Right there, that's adultification. Right there, that's pathological enmeshment. So I repeat, pathological enmeshment to a non-subspecialist, to an experienced forensic psychiatrist, looks just like a warm, healthy relationship. The fundamental attribution error means you look at behavior and you think it's, if you see an angry man, someone who's angry, you say, he's an angry man. You think it's his character. In general, he's an angry man. Never mind that the reason he's angry is someone just stole his car or his wallet. We're hardwired to say, oh, I'm going to stay away from that guy. He's displaying anger. So if the anger is situational, then it's an error. Now, the relevance to us is that when an interviewer sees a severe case of alienation, the alienating parent is cool, calm, and collected. He or she is probably a borderline, a sociopath, or a narcissist, or all three, and is a master manipulator.
That's why I be thinking sometimes I'm going to name this a series, does that sound familiar? Because does that ever sound familiar? You haven't seen your child in a long time. I mean, 30, 40 days, let's say, and you sit down in front of the judge. Well, you as a father will be pretty emotional, or any parent, that is. You'll be emotional. You haven't seen your child. You don't know what's going on. The other parent who has been around child knows everything about it, so they're calmer. They have more information. It's not hard to see. And just think about what he's describing right there. If the child is now in that environment and all he ever does is see that daddy is upset and mommy is upset and they're always upset together, and then when daddy leaves, mommy basically says that daddy is a bad person. Well, daddy can't really defend himself because when he sees his child or his child sees him, he's always upset. And the child automatically thinks he's either really upset at him or he's really upset at mommy all the time. And why is he always just upset at mommy? That's not right. Kids think very simplistically and it's very sensitive. So, this makes sense.
Has learned to convincingly mimic normal behavior and presents very well. Oh, yes, I encourage the child's relationship with his father or his mother. By contrast, the targeted parent has PTSD, has not seen the child in God knows how long, maybe years,
that's what I'm talking about.
Has been told that he's the one who's the problem or she's the one, and comes in all intense, all angry, and all stressed out. Now, I personally sat through a whole course at an AFCC meeting where the person teaching the course said to the people in the group, you can go by what you see. If the parent presents anxious and intense, you can be sure that's how they parent. No, that's an elementary error in clinical reasoning and decision making, not if it's a fundamental attribution error. The severe cases are fundamentally different than moderate cases. In a moderate case, it is very reasonable to try to educate the parent to be more cooperative. But in a severe case, where you have what one expert's called an obsessed alienator, that person with almost 100% certainty has a severe personality disorder. Normal people just don't do that to their children. And one clue would be that they block access for years on end for trivial, frivolous.
Wow. So, fathers, what does that mean that you're dealing with out there with these women? I didn't say it, the doctor just said it. If these characteristics fit your situation, now you're getting better insight into what is actually going on and how you should be moving. It's not hard.
Reasons that you would never block access to your children for. Another indication.
And I think that just about everybody is going to experience this. You know, what really irks my nerves is the severe cases he's talking about, because it's really causing damage. But I think everybody goes through the moderate forms that he's talking about, because relationships are emotional. You know, especially when two parents break up and they was actually together a while. You know, there's a lot of resentment there and everything else. So that thing's going to happen. But it's when you're not willing to work through it, you're not willing to heal, you're not willing to put it aside and look at yourself in the mirror and see how you're affecting the people around you. That's when it really gets on my nerves, because that is a form of selfishness that I just can't imagine.
Indication or indicator would be the repeated breaching of court orders, which again a normal person would never do. So just to give you a glimpse of the pattern, when you see excuses like they don't like him, they don't want to see him, and I'm not going to force them, you should sit bolt upright in your chair.
Traditional therapy. Let's see.
Normal psychotherapy makes these cases worse. So if it's a skilled psychotherapist who...
And that's not a surprise. That's not a surprise. And guys, especially when you're dealing with therapists and everything else, or any doctors, you got to understand, these people work for you. You go there for advice and consultation, but I always recommend you get more than one opinion when you go to a doctor. Because I always say, they call it a practice for a reason. It's always practicing. They're always learning. So that means they can be wrong quite a bit. So just keep that in mind.
Thinks you can come in and do dyadic therapy, well, why don't you find something to apologize for? Johnny, how did that make you feel? That's a disaster. Don't try that. Even with a medium case, they will almost always get catastrophically worse. So you have to match the therapist with the kid. That's my answer.
And that sounds like very, very good advice.
There are two places, one in Canada run by Kathleen Ray, another in Texas run by Richard Warshak. Give them 4 days with the kid, and the kid returns to the rejected parent happy as a clam to be reunited. But they require a change in custody and no contact with the alienating parent for 90 days. Other than that, there is no hope for a severe case. Don't even think of doing it with office therapy.
All right, so that was it for that video. Yeah, man, it's a real problem out here. You know, the tables are really skewed. So that's why I'm just going to keep preaching to you fathers. You got to start early. You got to get your paperwork filled out early. You got to start getting your record keeping going early. Okay, it's all about what you can prove. And the only way you can prove anything, it has to be in black and white, or it has to be filmed, audio, something. Just keep that in mind, okay? So like I said, I have a lot more coming about parental alienation, because I know it is a problem. Please comment. Tell me how I can do better. Tell me what it is you're looking for. Or if you have any questions, please get at me. I'll make sure to leave my email in there if you don't want to email me, or you can just leave it in the comment. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe. And you all be blessed till next time. Thank you.